Okay, so I won't complain anymore about pillars. What I'll talk about now is probably the second and last video I'm doing for today. It is December 30th, 2019? And this isn't coming out till next decade. I kind of hate New Year's jokes, but I make them so often. I'm a hypocrite in many ways. But I've been reading. Particularly over the last month, I've been reading and rereading a lot of classical Chinese philosophy. Confucius, Mengzi, Lao Tzu, and now I'm on Mozi. And yeah, my Mandarin is awful, and I talk like a white person, because, guess what? I've been reading Confucius, Mencius, Lao Tzu, and now Mozi. I can't even remember what the Roman non-pinyin pronunciation of Mozi is. Gotta say, it's been refreshing, but reading Mozi today, and I hadn't really learned much about Mohism, and I took university level courses in Chinese history, philosophy, and culture, and Chinese, but Mandarin anyway I took in high school, and I don't remember a goddamn thing. No, that's not true. Well, I remember that. And speaking of love, I didn't know this, but Mozi helped refine and create the word love in modern Chinese as it's understood now. This idea of universal love, this idea of not just like filial love, but heavenly love, unconditional love, not just to a family member, but to everyone. This idea of, God, it's so hard to draw a distinction of universal compassion. I'm not that far into it. I'm 50 pages into it in mine, which is, God, I'm on like the 9th or 10th chapter? They're short, and calling them chapters isn't exactly right, but 9th or 10th book. Yeah, it's very weird, because a lot of what he's writing about, right now the chapter I'm on, he's basically writing about meritocracy. Talking about, like, well, in a good state, or in a not bad state, the rulers appoint people who do a good job, and they promote people who do a good job. And he isn't the only one to write about this. Confucius and Mencius writes about it a little bit, but honestly not that much. Confucius wrote about it a fair bit. This idea of meritocracy being more important than just appointing your son or nephew or whoever to office. And I say son and nephew, and I gender it because it was very gendered at the time. Reading it, it's just paragraph after paragraph after paragraph. I'm like, yeah, no shit, yeah, okay, common sense. And after I finished the chapter, I kind of sat with it for a while. I'm like, what? Why is it that I just read through that and was totally unimpressed with it? Like, Mohism was, at its time, competing with Confucianism as the predominant school of thought, or one of the predominant schools of thought, of philosophy at the time. Part of the so-called 100 schools of thought during the Warring States period. And I'm like, I haven't really been strongly moved by very much. A couple of things, like the 7 damn it, like weaknesses or troubles that a state can get into. That I found interesting. But yeah, I haven't been that moved by it because a lot of it seems like common sense, and it really is a good reminder of the lenses that we view the world through, right? And how much we can take for granted. The entire conception that it would be revolutionary, and the same thing goes for Greek philosophers. I had the same problem reading them, that intelligent and good and talented people should be promoted or given positions of power instead of just whoever you like. To me, that seems like, yeah, no shit, how could you run things any other way? Well, Alex, if they're writing this in 200, 300 BC, tens of thousands of years of human history went before this started being common sense, or at least in recorded history, thousands of years, or hundreds of years, depending on the culture we're talking about, didn't think this common sense enough to write down and argue as articulately, which, I don't know, it's that's a hair. It's so fundamental to my worldview and my understanding of reality that it just seems so elementary, and it's so interesting that these very learned, very respected sages are arguing something that I think most people take for granted now. But that's the nature of a good revolutionary idea, right? It usurps and upsets and replaces the status quo. And it gets to a point where you can't imagine it being any other way. Yeah, let's start the egg hunt. Fuck. Oh, I also need to buy strawberry seeds before I get out of here. Well, need is a strong word. Want to buy strawberry seeds. I don't see any eggs on screen. Yeah, I'm ready. Now, a lot of this is pretty common sense stuff, but it made me reflective of how many things we take for granted that we don't have to take for granted, or maybe shouldn't take for granted, is being normal. You know, the whole history is written by the victors, jam, or the conquerors, or the winners, or whatever derivative of that statement that's attributed to fucking everybody under the sun. It's very hard to get out of your head. You know, it's how you practice empathy and compassion in many parts is trying to walk a mile in somebody else's shoes. Oop, okay, let's not air quote Alex. But it's easier said than done, right? And even when you think you're doing it, it's a continued practice of being aware and considerate of what you're practicing. Awareness is fucking hard. I can't place myself in a headspace, and I can't imagine the worldview, the framing, where I would ever reject or be resistant to the idea that I should appoint qualified people instead of just people I like. Like, the only arguments I can think of it is, well, I appointed this person because they're powerful, not because they're qualified. So it's like a political favor, or, you know, I appoint people who I want to benefit from the position. I mean, that's logically sound. But even those are, like, exceptions to the rule. I studied to be a historian and an anthropologist in college, Oh, so these are things I'm supposed to be good at. I'm sorry, I just have a knot in my neck that's driving me crazy. But it's still really fucking hard. Yeah, I win. I think you only have to get 7 or 9 or something really easy. Oh, right, it's year 1. You just get the dumbass hat. Oh no, is the festival over? Yeah, it's over, isn't it? Yeah. Alright, no strawberry seeds. That's mine. I don't want them anyway. No, that's cool. That's cool. Who wants strawberries? Not me. I guess let's go break rocks for an hour while I try to wrap this up. Yeah, it's hard reading historical figures and appreciating and really engaging and reading them critically, because a lot of what they say can be so alien and removed from its context, cultural, historical, material context, that I'll read words or concepts and be like, yeah, no shit, people should be appointed to office if they're qualified for it rather than people who aren't qualified for it, and yeah, you should promote people who do a good job, and you should care about people, and yada yada yada. And if somebody were writing that today, claiming to be a sage or a teacher or whatever else, I'd be like, okay, were you teaching children? Like, young children? Because these are fundamental ideas. They don't seem super revolutionary. So I don't know, it's, time pauses now, right? It's interesting. Now, I started reading Mozi and reading about Moism because I finished Mencius. Now, I kind of hated Mencius. He basically just parroted everything that Confucius wrote, but like with his fucking tone is so pretentious. I do not like Mencius. He's such a goddamn know-it-all, and not like in a good Confucius way where he knows a lot of things but he's super humble about it. Mencius is just kind of an ass, and I really don't like him. So I wanted to read about Moism because Mencius calls out Mozi a couple of times and like, oh, Moists are so wrong. I'm like, are they though? Like, you kind of seem like a dick, and Neo-Confucianism isn't really my jam. So let's look at this thing they're arguing with, and so far it's been pretty common sense values for me. So yeah. I had the thought, and I swear this is the last aside before I put in a cut. This is a big one though. How do we choose our faith? How do we choose our religion? Or our philosophy, our school of thought? How do we choose our values? Big question, right? And I don't really have an answer with this, but I want you to sit with this and think about this, and I'd love to hear thoughts on this. So often, to me, it seems that we choose by being taught it, right? We don't really choose. You're raised a certain way, and that's just how you live your life. I think for the vast majority of people, that's probably it. Like, you just choose whatever you were taught. Some people, like me, younger me anyway, younger Alex, sought out books by strategists and philosophers and theorists and prophets, stuff like that, trying to learn more about how to be a better person, what I should be like. I felt a lot of inadequacy and insecurity, and I recognized I had a lot of flaws, and I wanted to fix them. I wanted to be a better person, so that drive sought me to seek out different ideas and messages and philosophies and how to be a better person. And in that, I settled on some values, but I never really settled on a specific thing, right? Buddhism is pretty good. I'm pretty Buddhist, I'm pretty Taoist, but there's ideas in Christianity, in Islam, in Zoroastrianism, in everything that resonate with me. Because they're human values, and human values generally resonate with me. But most of the time, reading these, I can learn something new, or be like, huh, that's an interesting thought. I want to grapple with that, and bounce it off the wall, and engage in some dialectic with it. Like, if this is true, if this is not true, if this is true, if this is not true. Jumping to extremes, and trying to see how it fits, and where it fits, and play with the idea, tease it out. With Moism so far, with Mozi, I haven't really done that. Like a couple of times, a little bit, but mostly it's just been like, yeah, yep, yep. And generally in the past, when I've just been like, yep, I know this, I've thought, oh, this isn't really worth my time, I'm not getting a lot of value out of this. I'm not learning, right? I'm not growing. And those are the values I had, and those were the reasons I was pursuing it. Now, or at least last night, I'm trying to appreciate reading things that aren't teaching me anything, and are just telling me things that I feel like I already know, as being like, well, if this all rings true, or, close enough to true, maybe it's a good fit. It's not driving me or encouraging me to grow or change, but it's kind of interesting. Do you find your faith? Do you find your religion? Do you find your philosophy in what you're told? In something that tells you to change and motivates you to change? Or something that tells you that you're exactly right as you are now? And there's appeal to all three, right? And I don't know, like I said, I don't really have a conclusion, but yeah, fun to think about. I'm gonna put in a cut here. I don't think we're gonna see anything here. It's just gonna be like, hey dummy, you forgot to buy strawberries. Yeah, I know. I think this will be going out in 2020, so hey, Happy New Year till tomorrow or whenever. Toodaloo, take care, see you then, bye-bye.